right, it's about 5 till... Actually, it's about 2 till 2. If you tune into us to set your watch. We're not too good at giving the time, or at least the correct time. But what we are good at...
It's noon.
It's around noon or so. It's the Bob and Dan radio program with the Bob and the Dan. That's Bob. Have you met Bob before?
No, I have
Ben?
not.
Just through email, right?
Yeah.
Here, let's move this so we can
This is Donovan.
make sweet eye contact with each other.
Nice to meet you, Ben.
Nice to meet
Gerbs
you.
is back there. He's the little tiny guy.
With the sonic spoons.
Seabass, he does our tickers over there. He must be, he's busy probably because he also has another gig.
Of course, I host Diamond Talk.
Oh, that's right. And there's Danny. That's That's the full crew here. You've also met TC, the intern.
Which is really startling.
Who you are, I should introduce you to the very few that are listening. Ben Gold, Dallas
Very
video
exciting.
game legend. Who we got to know in the documentary Chasing Ghosts, right?
That is correct.
And we didn't, before seeing that, didn't know you lived here. And
Didn't know who you were.
Didn't know who you were at all, but I guess, okay, how can I introduce you as the all-time Qbert high score guy? Would that be okay?
You could say that. I mean, it's I'm not really big into titles on video games. I was part of of what is the first shoot or the first meeting of video game champions, which was in Life magazine.
The Life magazine cover
in 1982. Because a lot of historians in the last couple of years have been asking, what's the history now that people are really making money in video games? Where did it all begin?
Right.
And it all goes back to that picture.
Yes.
In Ottumwa, Iowa.
And Chasing Ghosts, they wanted to get everyone back together and kind of see what you've all ended up doing with your lives and that sort of thing, right? Kind of a reunion, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because when we were in the day when I was really big into video games, everyone thought I was going to be a drug addict or something really crazy.
Because you were so compulsive, or what?
At the time, it was obsessive. I mean, I would spend 3-4 hours a day, and sometimes on the weekends, maybe 7-8 hours playing video games. And you compare that to today, and that's like nothing.
Yeah.
People that play all day long. But at the time, that was considered compulsive.
And what were your best games?
Best games were, I love the shoot-'em-up ones, the Defender, Stargate I had a world record on, Millipede and Centipede.
Had? Does that mean you don't hold that anymore?
Usually the records last like a week or 2 weeks. It was very competitive once the world records, once the Twin Galaxies scoreboard got up and running.
Right.
Everybody wanted to beat the high scores, and so it was like, I think the longest record I had was maybe 2 months or 3 months.
Now, why did you get on the cover? For what game?
That was for Stargate.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cover now. You Google that pretty easily.
Remind me what Stargate was, because you remember it totally.
Isn't it where
It was like Defender, but better.
Isn't where the guy is kind of on the left and it goes up and down?
Yep.
And you can shoot at the things, and you could say, a guy will fall, and you try to catch him, or you can hit the
Smart bomb, right?
The smart bomb, the hyperspace. Yeah, gosh, I haven't thought of those terms in a while, but it was, I was really intense here in Dallas, and I got into a rivalry with another a local Dallasite. And we kept going back and forth, and he'd spend 3 hours, I'd spend 5 hours and 10 hours. And finally I said, look, this is a waste of time. I called the Williams, which is a manufacturing company, and said, what's the world record? And at the time it was 36 million. That's about 36 hours of playing. and I called.
So you can't take a break, right?
Well, actually, I called Williams, and then they referred me to the Twin Galaxies scoreboard, and that's where I met Walter Day.
Right.
And so when I called,
This is when you were a 16-year-old kid?
16-year-old kid. And yeah, it was. Those were what are called marathon games, where the manufacturers would, let's say, have a free man every 10,000 points, and I could get 20 or 30 per man. And so after a couple million points, you just have a couple hundred guys in reserve. So you got to go to the bathroom or take a break. It takes maybe 20, 30 seconds for a person to get killed. And so
you run to the bathroom and let a few of your guys die.
You got it.
Okay.
And that was hard.
It's an interesting trade-off, though.
So unlike Pac-Man, which you could only get 2 or 3 extra men or whatever that was.
Exactly. There were 4 men in Pac-Man. I mean, that's all you could have, 4 men for the whole game.
Were you pretty good at a lot of games?
I was good at a lot of games, and maybe that was what was neat about once going to Iowa, where this Life magazine shoot was, because I got to meet people that were as crazy as me, and to realize I wasn't that crazy. And I realized that that like I thought I was really good at Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, and then I met Billy Mitchell, and I realized that I'm going to specialize in certain games.
Right.
The great Billy Mitchell.
Yeah. So I mean, there were a lot of really good players that were there at that first time.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Obviously, King of Kong brought this perhaps even a little more into the mainstream. Chasing Ghosts, I don't think has blown up anywhere close to King of Kong on a mainstream level where people saw that, and that's how we were introduced to this entire group. And we want to talk more about King of Kong with you in a little bit. But first, so Stargate, Q*bert.
Q*bert was later. Yeah.
Okay,
is that like the pyramid game? Like
yes,
jumping back and forth. Okay,
kind of annoying.
But you had the record.
I did.
Because
that was
your big moment in Chasing Ghosts is, of course, when you gave us the laugh. In fact, should we just play the clip? All right, let's play the clip.
Let me read this letter to you. I think this is one of the funniest letters. I would like to inquire about getting my name in video games under the heading of high scores. My personal high score on Q*bert is 287,000 points. I noticed you do not have a listing for Q*bert. I was wondering if this is because you have not received word of any high scores. Also, do I need to have this high score made official, and how do I do it? I would appreciate you giving me this information. And it says, your score isn't high enough to qualify as number one. Presently, Ben Gold of Dallas has an honor with 17,899,325 points. I thought that was really funny.
What a great laugh. So you had the guy.
You don't like listening to yourself.
We don't either.
Nobody does, Ben. You'll learn that your own voice drives everyone crazy. But you were 17 million points beyond that guy who thought he might have had the high score.
Yeah.
So you owned him pretty well.
And the funny thing was that like that I read in like a lot of the video game magazines, so I knew nothing about it, and I'm just reading the magazine and seeing.
Oh, okay. So that's how you found it.
That was the cool thing because once we did a Life magazine shoot, then there was a competition for That's Incredible, that's probably, if you said my quote unquote name to fame was winning the first competition amongst that group of people, which was a preliminary in Iowa, and then we went to California, the top three, to compete on That's Incredible.
They have all that footage on Chasing Ghosts, by the way.
What game?
Well, they had 5 games. It was like the video game Olympics, right? And you would run from game to game.
Exactly. In the final in the competition in California, and That's Incredible. There were 5 games, and they wanted to do it fast, so you got a certain score, and then you moved to the next game, and the first person to get all those points and cross the finish line won.
What were the 5 games? Do you remember?
Cosmos, Burger Time, Donkey.
Burger Time was great.
Burger Time was awesome.
It was.
I hated that game.
What did you have? The salt and pepper shaker were chasing you, or no?
It was a hamburger, the pickles, and you had to pepper them, and I was terrible at that. And the ironic thing is that one of the contestants, Todd, he was the best player. Okay, by far. I never considered myself to be the best player. That particular moment.
It was your day.
It was my day.
Uh-huh.
And he messed up on that game. I mean, that was one mistake. It cost him about a minute, and that was enough to kind of put him in second place.
So you won the That's Incredible.
Well, what else was there?
Burger Time, Cosmos.
It was there was Donkey Kong Jr., Buck Rogers, and Millipede.
That's awesome.
Kind of a weak 5 games, though. Wouldn't you put?
Yeah, where's Pac-Man in that mix and everything?
Where's Asteroids?
Those were those games were already kind of blasé at the time.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, we had moved on.
We'd moved on. Yeah.
Okay. Who were the hosts of That's Incredible that night?
That was
John Davidson.
Was it Fran? Was Fran
Tarkenson and Kathy Lee Crosby.
Oh, so the dream team, the best era of That's Incredible.
And what did you get out of that?
I got
besides fame,
a free trip to California. And a medal that a fake gold medal around my neck.
So nothing.
That's it, huh?
How about
very similar to the ticket T-shirt we're about to hand you when we're done here.
Is there any kind of a groupie scene with?
Well, package. Let's package that. I want to know that because there was references about that in the documentaries. I want to hear his thoughts about Billy Mitchell and Steve Wiebe and the King of Kong documentary and just the whole video game landscape. Let's continue on with Ben Gold on the ticket next.